You think you have discovered Noah's Ark, right?
I believe so.
You know you've discovered Noah's Ark.
I believe so.
I've been making marbles for 55 years that I can witness. This is flint stone.
She cried victory, victory. God has given her the victory.
Hello and welcome to ID 21. Good show on tap today, don't you think?
Yes, I think so. Hello. We're going to be with Ron Wyatt today, visiting with him. He's an archaeologist, and it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, he says he's discovered Noah's Ark. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, that and several other findings.
Yeah, we shall see. Also on the show, a man who makes marbles out of stone that he gathers from farmers' fields.
Okay, in our entertainment segment, we have Lisa Ballou.
Sounds good to me, so stay right where you are. We'll be right back.
All right, marbles out of stone.
You got it.
We've brought back a good-sized deck timber, for example, for analysis purposes. We've brought back some rivets that were used to hold the timbers together.
Well, you might call him Indiana Jones, but his real name is Ron Wyatt, and he's definitely on a crusade.
Yes, and among other things, Ron Wyatt believes that he has discovered Noah's Ark, and we met up with Ron at his Museum of Ancient Mysteries. Here's today's Life Matters segment.
Well, we're with Ron Wyatt here in the Museum of Ancient Mysteries.
Right.
What is this place all about?
Well, Larry, this is a place that I've dreamed about for years. A place where we can display all of the research on these several archaeological sites that we believe represent the remains of major events recorded in the Bible.
And the big one is right back here.
That's correct.
Noah's Ark.
Right.
You think you have discovered Noah's Ark, right?
I believe so.
You know you've discovered Noah's Ark.
I believe so.
Why?
Yes. Well, there's a multitude of reasons. We have found that, for example, Moses used the Royal Egyptian cubit. When he said cubit, he was talking 20.6-inch cubit.
Now, is that from the finger to the here or longer?
That happened later.
Okay.
In Egypt, they were building pyramids and temples and all of this, so if you have a tall fella that's the emperor when you start, and you have a midget that's the emperor when you finish.
Could be the cubic of man then, whatever his height is. So.
Yeah. So anyway, you would end up with a strange looking structure. So they had a standardized cubit, and these have been found. Now most people, when they're doing what's called biblical archaeology, they assume that since this has something to do with the Hebrews, that the Hebrew cubit was used, but this is not the case. The Hebrew cubit didn't come into use till approximately 400 years after Moses wrote the first 5 books of the Bible. So anyway, this object that has survived out there in a fossilized condition is exactly 300 Royal Egyptian cubits long, right? And considering the splay and other distortions that have been forced upon it by the forces of nature, it's also 50 cubits wide and 30 cubits high.
Have you brought back some artifacts from
We
the Ark?
have. Yes, we've brought back a good-sized deck timber, for example, for analysis purposes. We've brought back some rivets that were used to hold the timbers together. We've brought back some metallic ballast material. This appears to be tailings from aluminum alloy production, for example, and it would act as a very heavy ballast. Also, Noah may have had in mind using this as a source of metal after the flood. So having not been there and talked with him about it, we can only speculate about what he had in mind.
Now the Ark was made out of gopher wood, is that correct?
It's made out of laminated wood, which of course is gopher wood.
That's what gopher wood is.
That's right.
Laminated wood.
That's you've seen ladies' pleated skirts. These were popular back in the 50s. Anyway, these the machine that made those are called gophering machines in England, and that's where they, first were put into use.
So what type of wood did they use?
It could be any kind of wood, but the Ark in particular has 3 layers, and the 2 outer layers are cypress. For some reason or the other, this is very resistant to decay and to attack by critters that usually like to eat wood. I don't know if it doesn't taste good, doesn't have any nutritional value, or whatever. And then the center board of these 3 is some real hard wood like teak or ebony or something of that nature.
Can anyone go over there now and see the Ark?
They can. It's a national park. They have a visitor center out there. At this point in time, there's a good deal of Kurdish terrorist activity in the area. We were taken hostage for 21 days in '91.
Wow.
And so they seem to target Americans predominantly. So what you do is you get you a passport from another country, dress appropriately, and go in, and you'd probably be all right.
Have other people said they've discovered Noah's Ark? Another location?
There have been, to my knowledge, 32 different people said they found Noah's Ark in 32 different places.
And how we know yours is right?
That is something I'm glad you asked. It's my belief that Satan was not allowed to destroy all these physical remains of the events of the Bible. So he fell back on his long, strong suit, and that's lies and deceptions. So I believe that he was clever enough to realize that God was preserving these for a purpose, most likely to show them to somebody at some point in time. And when he concluded that that time was near, he got a lot of people to make a lot of claims about these remains and other remains of Bible objects and stories. And I believe that he has had a great deal of success in lessening the credibility and the impact that these would have had. And so anyway, your listeners and viewers out there are well advised to check everything out very carefully.
It's 300 feet long. All those animals in there, it stunk. How did they get 300 cubics long? How did they get air in there, fresh air?
Well, it speaks of a sofar, meaning a light source in the top, finished within a cubit roundabout. I suspect that that was probably vents with shutters, that they open when it wasn't storming and close when it was.
The largest animal that went into the Ark, you think, was what?
Well, it appears that Noah took freshly weaned animals on board.
Well, we learned that the cubic is not necessarily the cubic from the finger to the inside of the elbow, and that gopher wood is not necessarily a type of wood, but more of a laminating process, and there's more to learn. We'll take this break now and be back with Ron Wyatt in his Museum of Ancient Mysteries.